Continental Asset Managers were managing 30%. So the decision at that particular meeting to proceed with the purchase of Ameris, or further analysis to purchase the Ameris Hotel, was pending awaiting our fund manager now to conduct due diligence analysis of the investment opportunity, basically detailed financial business analysis, the structure integrity report by a registered structural engineer, but also key was the business operation model. Chair, we wanted these for one reason. The investment manager can do a financial and business analysis only to find that possibly from the engineers, the building was constructed wrongly or it has cracks and everything. So we requested that they also do this. Secondly, we did not want to be caught up at a point that when we purchased the hotel, because if we were purchasing, we needed to already know how we would operate it. We wanted them to also already give us the business operational model. At the same meeting, Chair, the board, apart from hearing from the investment subcommittee, sought the position of NAM on the proposed investment. So during our board meetings, apart from getting reports from the subcommittees, we also could interact with the service providers who needed to present. So after we interacted on the report from the investment subcommittee, NAM also appeared, and we wanted to confirm if indeed they think the investment was good. And the fund manager responded in the affirmative in stating that this is a good investment for the fund of our size. The investment manager further stipulated that it's a good business specifically in the event that the fund is able to find a good partner in the business, and ideally in the analysis, the preliminary analysis, they said if we could change the operational model of the hotel, it could be even much better into a wet business. A dry hotel versus a wet hotel. A wet hotel is like those that allow alcohol and others. So Ameris was not allowing that. From that meeting, Chair, let me draw you to the 22nd ordinary board meeting, which took place on 27th to 28th November 2023. Chair, in this meeting, NAM presented that the cost of investment was 47 billion Malawi Kwacha, and that the valuation was based on property valuation. This is the property plus land. Reports by Garden City, who valued it at 48 million, and Knight Flank that valued it at 50 million. I mean billion, sorry. Let me correct that. 48 billion and 50 billion, Chair. I know in the report there is a million, but for records, it has to be billion. Apart from the property valuation, NAM indicated that They have also considered the business valuation, which was done, and it indicated that the business was valued at a low, which is a minimum, a flow at 25.62 billion, and high 34.5 billion, with a net asset value being 50 billion, Chair. Chair, among the documents that we've submitted, there is a letter from NAM to PSPTF that was sent requesting confirmation of our appetite to purchase that Amaris at 47 billion. And there are also minutes to this meeting. Chair, within the same meeting, the board was further notified that following the devaluation of Malawi Kwacha, the seller, they had indicatively indicated of the 47 billion, was requesting a 30% increase in the transaction price. That's from 47 billion to 61.1 billion. And within the meeting, the fund manager, however, advised the fund not to accept the price adjustments based on their expertise. And the board jury advised the manager to communicate the same to the seller. There is also some communication letters that we've submitted, Chair, on that front, up to the fund manager indicating to the seller that we would not be considering the adjustment, because we had just been hit, I think that's the time we were hit by, is it a 44% devaluation? The board also took note that the proposal to purchase the hotel was in breach of one of our agreements, the Oasis agreement, which had an non-compete clause. Chair, let me mention that through the same investment manager, Nico Asset Managers, we were investing in the construction of, I don't know what they call it, but in our agreement it is Oasis. I think it will be Oasis Hotel, the one being constructed along the golf course. So we are participating there as shareholders. There are various investors in there. So we are told that within the agreement, there is that clause. And because of this, we needed to seek for a waiver from the board that was overseeing this whole investment. At this point, Chair, the board had expressed a very big disappointment to NAM, considering that they are our managers. They knew very well of the agreement, but they had proposed the investment opportunity, but we were comforted that because it provides for a waiver, we could be given a waiver. There are minutes as well to that, board chair. So the board stated to NAM that we would be seeking a waiver from our Oasis board to allow us to proceed with the investment opportunity. Chair, I would want now to mention of the meeting that we had with NICO on 17th January 2024. In the background, all these, what I've mentioned, were happening and the analyses were happening. This meeting chair was between NICO, the board chairperson, and the chairpersons of the subcommittees of the board. And it took place at PSPTF conference. Chair, don't be confused with your members that on this bulletin, I'm mentioning NICO, where previously I've mentioned NAM as NICO asset managers. I want to put it on record that at this point, we are not just meeting NICO asset managers because their representation included the group. So at this point, Chair, NICO was informing us that in their further analysis of the investment opportunity, they were advising the board that we should not proceed with the investment. So, in the meeting, Chair, NICO indicated that they are withdrawing their recommendation to buy the hotel on the following reasons, which they also followed up with a letter affirming, drawing from the meeting. And I'll read them. One, a further review by the internal governance structure noted that the proposal did not receive adequate technical review for such a significant investment to provide required assurance that it is in the best interest of the fund, that it was with this realization and with the view to safeguard the best interest of the fund that this decision to withdraw the recommendation was made. Two, NAM believes that the investment in the hotel being a specialized operation should have included a due diligence by a hotel expert and strategic partner, including the identification of prospective operator. The absence of an expert due diligence and identification of the strategic partner as outlined above exposes the investment to a significant operational and financial risk. Chair, as I've indicated, this was affirmed after the meeting in a letter that they submitted stating these reasons, which we've also shared. At that meeting, Chair, as a fund, we requested that NAM submits to the fund detailed analysis report as per their presentation for future reference. Additionally, in that meeting, Chair, we indicated to NAM that all the costs that had been incurred as we were pursuing this investment opportunity cannot be paid for by the members of the fund. Because, remember what our investment policy says, we give the fund manager space. And when they convince us that this is a good investment opportunity, we allow them. So what happens is, if there are additional services that the fund manager needs, for example, in this, they wanted to do the structural engineering report. This cost is borne by the fund. So if the fund had let us proceed and later withdrew when we had incurred some cost, we would not accept that this be borne by the members, because it would be a loss of the members and the fund. They agreed to this, and we followed up with proper communications on the same. Chair, there are letters that we exchanged up to the reconciliation of all the costs that came up in pursuing this, which totaled to 85.3 million of various service providers, Chair. And within the communications, one of the letter that is there that we have seen and we've shared is NAM accepted and indicated that they would deposit the money to the fund. Chair, the letter which the fund through Secretariat wrote NAM confirming the amount was done in August, and our term ended on 6 September. We cannot confirm whether the money was reached, but we are confident that NAM accepted and they were indeed doing the right thing. I can even mention that when our Secretariat had skipped some cost, NAM corrected those figures and indicated the rightful figure. So I'm very confident that this money was refunded by NAM. Chair, from that meeting, let me go to an extraordinary meeting by the board, because the meeting with NAM was just with the chairperson's chair. I mean, with Nico, was just with me and my chairpersons of the subcommittee. We discussed, and from there, we needed to meet and discuss as a board, and hence called for an extraordinary board meeting, which took place on 17th January 2024, Chair. So,
Ring officer? Ideally, you're saying that on the same 17th, after the engagement with Nico, you proceeded to have the board meeting, an extraordinary board meeting.
I can confirm, Chair. We met NAM in the morning, and the extraordinary board meeting was held in the afternoon.
Are the chairs of those committees with you today?
Chair, I have with me two of the former subcommittee chairs. One is sitting to my right, and the other one is sitting to my left. And the other two are the ones I mentioned, Trustee Kahaki Jere, who chaired the legal, who is abroad. She's working abroad or something. And the other one is the investment chair, the former investment chair, Mr. Boyd Hamela, who indicated that he's also abroad, Chair.
Proceed. Proceed.
So, Chair, soon after the meeting with Nico, the board held an extraordinary meeting to reflect on the recommendation from the fund manager to withdraw an area recommendation to invest in Amaris Hotel. Chair, considering that the fund manager had provided their expert and professional advice, it was the board's decision to agree and accept the recommendation and not to proceed with the investment. Chair, remember within this meeting I mentioned that a team of the chairpersons and myself, we had put it to NAM that the cost that has been incurred had to be met by them. And these two wanted it to be endorsed by the board. And indeed, the board agreed and endorsed that NAM be responsible for all the costs that had been incurred as they were pursuing this investment opportunity. Chair, with your indulgence, I'm not sure whether I will be permitted, but I want to make a special request, as you had granted in your introductory remarks. I know, Chair, there are stakeholders that appeared before us, and it is in the public space that it is being indicated that this board did not, and there was no resolution to this effect. With your indulgence, Chair, considering that I have a good number of trustees who were present in that meeting here, who have taken oath, for the sake of the Malawians who are seeing us, because even those allegations were made on camera, I would want, Chair, that each of the trustees in here affirm or refute whether we had a resolution as I've presented, Chair. I submit.
In fact, this is in order because this is what has brought us here, so that we get the basics. But I would like to request, as they do that, since you're drawn from the employer and the employees, as well as trade unions, to clearly indicate as a trustee where you exactly or where you were drawn from, okay? So that you confirm, you state your name, the trade union you were drawn from, is it from the employer or from the employee, so that we minute everything, we have all those details. Because in your introduction, you did not indicate where you were drawn from, but you alleged that some are drawn from the employer, others from the employee. So as you confirm, please come out very clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair, for accepting my request. Let me also clarify that in the board, you are either representing the employer or the employee. The employees are drawn from the trade unions. So when they introduce themselves and they say employee, know that these were recommended by the trade unions, but they can mention which trade union they belong to. Thank you.
That's what I wanted, that they must mention the actual trade union. Thank you.
So I would start with the chairs here and then we go right.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of the committee, my name once again is Edwin Toneochi, former trustee, and I was representing the employer. I hereby would like to confirm that indeed I attended the 17th morning meeting with Nico, and thereafter the extraordinary board meeting in the afternoon of the same 17th, and that a resolution was made after that meeting. Thank you.
Point of order.
You switch off? Can you actually confirm, when you state your name, the union, be clear on the resolution that the board arrived at, whether the resolution was to continue or to discontinue. In that way, we're going to move or proceed procedurally. But otherwise, we may water down this. Honourable members, can we proceed? So it will be very important because us who are seated in this room, we are aware that you're talking of 17th January 2024, but these proceedings are being recorded. For the sake of history, and the Parliament is a house of records, 20 years from now, those sitting here, if they would want to refer to this, they may not know which January. So as you confirm the resolution, kindly state the actual date. Controlling officer?
Thank you, Chair. We'll proceed as such.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of this committee, my name is Edwin Tone Wochi. I was a former trustee of the fund. I hereby stand to confirm that on 17th January 2024, a resolution was reached by this board not to continue with the purchase of Amaris Hotel. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, my name is Venancio Nzonda. I was drawn as a trustee on the employees side from the Civil Servants Trade Union from the first cohort. I was the chairperson of the Finance and Audit, and I confirm that I attended the morning meeting of the chairpersons with NICO Group. I also attended the afternoon session of extraordinary board meeting to resolve the Amaryllis Hotel issue, and I can confirm that the board then resolved to discontinue the investment of Amaryllis Hotel. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chairperson and your honorable committee, my name is Lefson Chirwa. I was in the second cohort of the Board of Trustees of the Public Service Pension Trust Fund, representing the employer. I confirm that I attended the meeting, the extraordinary board meeting of the fund, which was held on 17th of January 2024 in the afternoon. And I also confirm that during that meeting, we made a resolution not to continue the investment in Amaryllis Hotel. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of the committee, I, Lovemore Teo, confirm that indeed I attended the 17th January meeting, extraordinary meeting, and in that meeting, a resolution was duly made not to continue with the investment. So I am a former trustee drawn from the employer side, in particular Minister of Labour. Thank you, Chair.
Your Honorable Chair and the rest of your committee, my name is Bernard Nyondo of Teachers Union of Malawi. I can confirm my attendance of the meeting that was held on 17th of January 2024, and I confirm the resolution that was made during that meeting. Not to discontinue with the purchase of Amaryllis Hotel.
Can you come out clear? So in the same meeting, others resolved to continue, others resolved not to discontinue. Can you come out clearly, colleague from this is Teachers Union of Malawi, Mr. Nyondo?
Thank you, Chair. So I confirm the resolution that was made during the meeting of 17th January 2024 in the afternoon, not to continue with the purchase of Amaryllis Hotel. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and to the whole committee. My name is Arthur Manyunya, a second cohort trustee, and I represented the employer. For this particular meeting, Chair, I offered my apologies as I was away. I was attending school. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and entire honorable members. My name is Isaac Adams Kwisongole, second cohort trustee of Public Service Pension Trust Fund. I was drawn from Ministry of Agriculture, specifically from Agricultural Technicians Union of Malawi. I confirm the attendance of the 5th Extraordinary Board of Trustees meeting of Public Service Pension Trust Fund, which was held on 17th January 2024. And the resolution were made to withdraw from the purchase of the Amaryllis Hotel. I submit. Thank you, Chair.
Controlling Officer, did you arrive at this decision unanimously, or there were basics that you followed? Is there anyone who abstained from voting or agreeing to that resolution? Can you come out clear? And on the same, this far, I don't have the minutes for that particular engagement. Can you come out clear where it was held, those who attended, the proper minutes as intellectuals drawn from different institutions? Controlling Officer.
Thank you, Chair. I was to come to exactly that on the minutes and the like. But Chair, before I come there, let me respond on whether this was agreed unanimously or other trustees reserved their approval. I can confirm, Chair, that no one had reserved their approval. Secondly, Chair, in the submission on this one, you'd note that we've submitted the copy of the resolution that I signed and was signed by the investment committee investment subcommittee chairperson. We have not submitted the minutes, Chair, and I want to address that particular issue, Chair. But I can assure the members that at the opportune time, based on how we proceed, those would be submitted. Chair, I would not recall the date, but it is in public domain that SCB had requested the PSPTF to submit some documentation on the same issue that you're probing. On the date that they were given as a due time for their submission of the required documents, Chair, as a former chairperson, I got a call from Secretariat that one of the key documents that they wanted to submit were the minutes of that meeting, and that unfortunately, the minutes, signed minutes, were not there. The thinking then was I did not pen the signature of the meeting proceedings for that meeting. Chair, I want to also put it on record that before we left, I'd given my word to the Secretariat that if there was anything that was not signed, any minute that was not signed during my tenure, we needed to have done everything before our team left. And this investment, Chair, as you will hear later in my submission, even at that point, was something that I needed to have tallied all the dots clearly. So when that was asked, I had asked that if the minutes can't be found and whether we signed them or not, because at times you may give me so many documents to sign, is it allowable that instead of the minutes, you submit the resolution? Because I was confirmed that the signed resolution was available. And additionally, I said, if it is allowable, I can constitute the former board of trustees, that they affirm that the minutes that are there are a true reflection and we can resign. So, Chair, the legal services manager who I was talking to indicated to me that they would come back when they get the clearance. The resolution was there, and then I called each and every trustee because I thought this is a very important document that needed not to have gone missing if it was signed. If it was not, we needed to sign this as a record. If we did not sign, Chair, it is a lapse in governance because it needed not to have been done as such. So every member here, Chair, was shared with the soft copy of unsigned minutes, and they confirmed that indeed the minutes were a true reflection of that what was discussed. And for records, Chair, this meeting did not take long because it was purely just to decide on the recommendation that NAM had given. There were no any other business as an extraordinary meeting, Chair. So that is what transpired. And Chair, because I'm not a lawyer, but on the procedure that I've explained, I thought that would cement the proof that indeed the meeting took place and the resolution was made. And deliberately, I can say that's why I ambushed my brothers here to say it on camera and on oath if indeed this happened. So, Chair, apart from the resolution, I also want to draw your attention to a letter that PSPTF wrote NIGO on 12th February, just to affirm that indeed there was a resolution, because NAM needed now to be officially communicated by us as trustees that we're dropping this investment. Chair, in the second paragraph of that letter, and I read, the board, during its 5th extraordinary board meeting, held on 17th January, resolved not to proceed with the investment in Amaris Hotel Limited, following the professional advice you provided to the fund.
Point of information.
Lilongwe, Mulanje Southeast, what has gone out of order?
Point of information, Chair. I just wanted the stakeholder to draw us to the particular document that they are referring to for the record. Thank you, Chairperson.
Other members, you have, if you check on the documents that you have, there's a letter dated 12 February from the Principal Officer, Public Service Pension Trust Fund, and it was signed by George M. Jim. Yes? So the title was Way Forward on Amaris Hotel Limited. Controlling Officer, because this originated from your office, I would like to ask you to lead that letter so that everyone gets to hear what it carried, the message it carried. You can proceed, Controlling Officer. Honourable Member, you have you are showing a NICO one, but I would like you to look for the other, because the NICO one was signed by Daniel Dunga. That's the one you're looking for. Can you kindly go to the document that is that was signed by George M. Jim, that one. Controlling Officer, I want you to do that, to go through the letter. Please proceed.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. This letter is dated 12 February 2024. It is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, NICO Assets Managers Limited, Chibisa House, 19 Green Jones Road, PO Box 3173, Blantyre, and it reads, Dear Sir, and the heading is Way Forward on Amaris Hotel Limited. Reference is made to the above subject matter and the meeting between yourself and the PSPTF subcommittee's chairpersons, which was held on 17th January 2024 at the PSPTF conference room in Lilongwe. The board, during its 5th extraordinary board meeting held on 17th January, resolved not to proceed with the investment in Amaris Hotel Limited, following the professional advice you provided to the fund through the letters with reference number NAML/DD/19/12/2023, dated 19th December 2023, and NAML/DD/21/03/24, dated 23rd January 2024, which followed after the meeting we held with you on 17th January 2024. Considering that at the time NAM was withdrawing the recommendation to invest in Amaris, the fund through you had already incurred some significant costs amounting to around 20,157,280, based on the area recommendation that the fund invest in the business. The board has resolved that this sunk cost should be borne by NAM. As was discussed and agreed during the meeting of the 17th February 2023, these costs would not have been incurred had you given the right professional advice from the onset. It is therefore the board's considered opinion that all costs associated with this investment will be borne by NAM and not the fund. Additionally, the fund instructs the manager to obtain consent / waiver from the rest of the parties to the Oasis shareholders agreement stipulated in clause 9 of the agreement, which provides for non-compete between the parties to the agreement. Should such consent / waiver not be granted by the other parties, the fund directs that with immediate effect, NAM should put on offer and sell its entire shareholding. Signed by George M. Jim, Principal Officer. So, Chair, from there are exchanges of communication between NAM and PSPTF. The reason I was reading this was specifically drawing your attention that while the fund manager recommended withdrawal, they really needed affirmation from the board to allow them that we agree you're off, but also a decision that we made that we're not proceeding. I know there are issues of minutes, but you can see that all the communications thereafter with NAM were based on that we are not proceeding with this investment. And what followed literally was on the incurred cost and the other issue of the waiver, which had nothing to do with what we're discussing here. Chair, allow me to proceed. Chair, let me now draw you to the other meeting of the board. This is the 23rd board meeting, which was held on 13th to 15th March 2024. Chair, in this meeting, the board was notified by Secretariat in their report to the board that the fund was summoned by OPC to make a presentation on the fund performance, and that during the meeting, OPC had recommended that the fund should proceed with the Amaris investment, fearing that the seller may sue the fund, considering the stage at which the investment proposal was being cancelled. Chair, that in itself as well confirms that this board resolved not to proceed with the investment based on the professional advice that we got from NAM. And I can proudly say here that we regarded our investment managers to the highest esteem, and we took their advice seriously. Chair, even when this was made to this board here, this board still resolved that we will not rescind our decision, and we maintain that we are not proceeding with the investment in Amaris. Chair, according to the Pension Act, the trustees are personally accountable for any investment decision that they make. And we believed then that while the employer was afraid of the litigation issues, but we thought we needed to respect the professional advice from our manager, who we had trusted as an expertise. So we maintained that even with that recommendation, we would not proceed. Chair. Within the same meeting, Chair, because we meet the various investment managers, as we are meeting NICO asset managers, with regards to the cost incurred in the hotel transaction, NAM stated that the position was that the cost were the responsibility of the investment manager. NAM assured the board that the fund needed not to be apprehensive about the cost, for NAM would cover the cost. The investment manager lastly took it upon themselves to take full accountability on what transpired with the Amaris Hotel transaction, which was an investment proposed to the fund by NAM and then later withdrawn at their advice. NAM expressed regret to this board for the way the transaction was handled, for which they felt might result in strained business relationship between the fund and the investment manager, and stated that their organization is large and such transaction was handled by a number of departments in the organization, and therefore it was an oversight on their part, in that the analysis and findings were being concluded was the purchase transaction had already commenced. In this meeting, Chair, the board reminded NAM to still share their final analysis report for board's records. As the board was meeting Continental Asset Manager within the same meeting, Chair, the investment manager stated that they were approached by the... Okay, let me take that again, Chair. Within the same meeting, as we were meeting CAM, this is Continental Asset Managers, the investment manager stated that they were approached by the financial advisor for Amaris Hotel to assist them in the transaction, and that CAM was requesting the board for information of the transaction for the analysis. So CAM was requesting information that we grant them permission to look into the analysis that was made by NICO. The board responded that CAM was at liberty to do their own analysis and that they should come to their own conclusion, deciding whether it is a worthwhile investment or not. The board also inquired from CAM if they were not pursuing the opportunity because the seller had debt with a sister company, and hence the conflict of interest. Chair, you would be surprised that as Secretariat was presenting the report from the meeting that was held with OPC and the directive from OPC, the board said we're not proceeding. Later on, we meet in CAM, who are presenting the same investment opportunity, and we are telling them that do your own analysis. Remember, I had referred you to a clause in our investment policy. So when an investment manager brings an opportunity, Chair,
Can you switch off your mic? You talked of the directive from OPC. Can you retake that one? Chirazulu Nyungwe.
Chair, as he retakes that one, I think Chirazulu Nyungwe and many people are interested to know who exactly they were in contact with at OPC. Thank you, Chair.
Controlling officer, you may take those two. Mulanje Southeast, is it in line with that? Because I thought we can give him time to wind up, but because of, I had checked with Secretariat, they had not captured clearly, because I had failed to comprehend what he highlighted. So that's why I wanted him to proceed.
For the record, I just wanted the stakeholder to help us draw a line and understand how CAM is coming into their board meeting. That is not clear. It is very clear how they summarized with NAM, but after that meeting ended, how CAM was invited into the very same meeting at the very same time, by whose invitation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Maybe as you take those clarifications, we appreciate. I did communicate earlier on that we've included the Nkota Central, specifically to also highlight on other few things. Why? Because we have a capable legal department here, but by standing orders, they may not speak to us and comment directly. So we wanted an expertise that can also, along the way, do that. But be assured that we have a capable legal department at Parliament, but for the sake of these other things, we thought of drawing expertise from within Parliament. So Nkota Central, please.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just as an extension to Chirazulu Nyungwe, because this inquiry is about pinpointing the truth in terms of where it lies and where certain information came from, it would be better that wherever there is a reference to a particular office or individual, the person occupying that office at that particular point in time should be identified, because there may be need for further inquiry with those individuals. So a case in point is that example raised by Chirazulu Nyungwe, that instead of referring to the OPC, you better refer to the person in the OPC. And I see that in the other documents that I've gone through, there is a similar trend where you are just referring to a particular institution or sub-institution without pinpointing the actual person who gave that instruction or made that decision in that particular office. It's different where it's a body and those that were members have confirmed that this was what the resolution was. If it's a board decision, there are minutes available that have been verified. That remains a board decision. But where it's coming from an individual working in a particular office, you better identify that individual so that our follow-up can make sense. Thank you so much.
Point of order, Chair.
A point of order from Lilongwe Chiwamba.
Yeah. Chair, thank you very much for allowing Lilongwe Chiwamba. Chair, I think if we can allow the control officer to finish his presentation. After finish, if we want to ask questions, if you want the control officer to shed more light, we have that opportunity. But I suggest if you can allow him to finish, if you want evidence, we will ask the control officer to provide that. But if we can keep on interrupting him, he may give us proper, or he may not give us proper information. I rest my case. Thank you.
I strongly agree with your submission, Lilongwe Chiwamba, but he had indicated a few things which even Secretariat had not captured, because we also respect the expertise which we get from our Secretariat. So your point of order is valid, but along the way, there's a need for him to get aligned to the details so that we don't have to debate now and again. Otherwise, controlling officer, kindly proceed.
Thank you so much, Chair. Let me possibly highlight how our board meetings are held. I know possibly most of the members here have ever attended some board meetings, but the funds board is structured a little bit different in our case, where this is a financial institution. So during the board meetings, we could summon all our service providers, because we're reviewing the performance of the fund. So they have to present the investments that they have done, any issues that are there. So at an opportune time, based on our schedule, during the meeting, we could meet all the investment managers, so one after the other. So we could have a report from Secretariat, we discuss the issues that are there, then we would call, for example, the fund managers one by one. We would call the administrator also to make a presentation of the issues, and that's how we proceeded. So in this particular meeting of the 23rd board meeting, which was held on 13th to 15th, the first to give us the presentation was Secretariat. So in Secretariat's report to the board, that's where they were reporting to the board that the fund was summoned by OPC, SPC, the Office of SPC. Let me mention that I was aware of this meeting because the principal officer for the fund called me to notify me that we need the office of the SPC wants to meet with us on how the fund is performing and its investment. Unfortunately, I was not within Lilongwe, and I did not participate in that meeting. But from the fund, this meeting was attended by the principal officer and the chairperson for the investment. So at this board meeting, because the invitation came through the Secretariat, and the PO and the chair for investment went to attend, it was supposed to be included in the Secretariat report as to what transpired within the meeting, and that and for the consideration of the board. So that's where, if you saw in the report, I was saying the board was notified during this meeting that the fund was summoned by OPC. So to be specific, the office of the SPC to make a presentation on the fund performance, and that during the discussions of that meeting, the principal officer presented to this board that the employer was recommending that we proceed with the investment in Amaris on fears of litigation issues. So at that moment, because after the report, we could discuss as a board, this board said we're not proceeding. I hope that clarifies the issue. As to who attended, from OPC chair, the principal officer, I don't recall him mentioning or submitting even the minutes of that meeting to this board. But I'm sure maybe because I'm informed that you're meeting the current board and secretariat. Unfortunately, we don't have secretaries with us here. Maybe they may be able to fish out that if they were given. But I'm sure the meeting was summoned by the office of the SPC. Chair, I'm not sure whether I can proceed. Thank you so much. So, as I was saying, now, when we were meeting CAM as they were presenting their performance within that meeting, after they present their performance, usually fund managers could give us some opportunities in the investment. That's when they presented this very same opportunity that they had been approached and they would want to consider it. So remember, the clause I read to you, Chair, according to our investment policy, we could not just shut them to say, no. Because their contract with us and their fees is performance-based. So they are paid on return on investment. So you shut them and they underperform. Later on, they'll say, what if that investment was what would have made us do better? So at that point, the only thing we told them was not to use the data that NAM has done, but they should do their own analysis and present to the board if they indeed feel this is a viable investment. Chair, let me mention quickly that after that meeting, we also had our final board meeting, which is the 24th board meeting, and this was held on 20th to 21st June 2024. So the only thing that I will highlight here is now, because we're done with NICO, we're good, we agreed, but these people had brought the issue in the previous board meeting, and they also presented it in this meeting now. So after CAM presentation on the Amaris Hotel investment to the board dismissed the submission and recommended CAM that the proposal be submitted through the relevant subcommittee for detailed analysis. CAM was further advised that they needed to undertake their own independent detailed analysis on the feasibility of the investment opportunity and not to rely on NAM's reports and documentation. Additionally, CAM was also requested to demonstrate their capacity to handle such a huge transaction. Chair, there are minutes as well to this, which we've shared, and there's a letter which we wrote following this to NAM, dated 5th July 2024, communicating on the same. In conclusion, Chair, as can be noted, Chair, the identification of the investment opportunity for the fund is done through the fund managers. Every fund manager is free to submit their investment opportunity to the board through the investment subcommittee Well, the board has the final say on the investment opportunity presented by the fund managers. This has to be based on varied factors, such as the risk, financial risk, economic risk, and others, for that particular decision. This is the case because, as I mentioned, the fund managers' contracts are performance-based, and specifically their fees are pegged on investment return. For the Amaryllis Hotel investment, Chair, as indicated, the investment opportunity was introduced by NAM. Having done the analysis, the board was indeed motivated to pursue the investment. However, after their professional advice to withdraw, the board resolved not to proceed with the investment. And as I stated, Chair, even after the employer, OPC, had intervened and recommended that the board proceed with the investment on fears of litigation, this board chair maintained this decision as advised by his fund manager. Chair, lastly, while CAM resubmitted the investment as their proposed opportunity in the final board meeting for this board that I chaired, Chair, there was a high chance, a very high chance that these former board members would not decide otherwise. I submit, Chair.
Thank you so much, Controlling Officer, for that detailed submission. I think as Public Accounts Committee, you've eased the work that we're supposed to do because your submission was detailed. Would like to appreciate what you did as the board, the former board. Honourable members, in case people want more to ask for a few things, I see Blantyre Chiromoni Nancholi. I see Blantyre Central, Nkhotakota Central. I see Lilongwe Chirobwe, Lilongwe Chiwamba, in that order, please. I see our senior, Mulanje West, so we'll end at our senior, Mulanje West. Blantyre Chiromoni, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think we have a real problem, and I would like the former board chair, as he answers, because I will ask my question in two folds, because we are talking about a meeting where you are discussing not to continue with an investment of 47 billion. 47 billion is a number that if we are to give the youth in Malawi 1 million each to start a business, it will take at least 47,000 youth. It's a huge number. And you are telling this committee that the minutes of such a serious investment amount are missing. When did you realize that those minutes were missing? And secondly, do you think that somebody might have sabotaged the meeting? Because the new board that we're meeting in the afternoon formed some of the basis based on the fact that you never concluded the transaction with Amaryllis. That's why they want, and you accurately highlighted that in your submission. So I would want to know when did you realize that those minutes were missing? Yes, Chair, just to clarify, we would give the old board a benefit of doubt because I didn't look at what they submitted to us. I looked at what Nico submitted to us yesterday. And that thinking that there couldn't be any collusion between Nico officers and the former board. I submit, Chair.
Blantyre Central.
Thank you very much, Chair. Through you, Chair, I just want to thank the controlling officer for his comprehensive presentation. However, the people of Blantyre Central, they just want some clarification regarding your presentation. You have indicated and firmly stood by your ground as board not to proceed with the investment opportunity in question. However, I can see on item number, during your 22nd ordinary board meeting, which you held on from 27th to 28th, you also indicated as your board that you resolved.
Blantyre Central, for the sake of those who don't have the dates, can you come out clear? 22nd of what? Which year? Please be specific.
Thank you, Chair. During their 22nd ordinary board meeting, which was held on 27th to 28th November 2023, the same board, you resolved to seek a waiver from the Oasis board to allow you to proceed with the investment opportunity. Are you not contradicting yourself that you seek a waiver to proceed with the investment opportunity? At the same time, you stood on your ground not to proceed with the investment. Can you just clarify how Oasis is coming in and your firm's stand on the investment opportunity? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lilongwe Chirobwe. Blantyre Central, can you switch off your mic?
Thank you, through your chair. I'd like to ask the controlling officer. It seems after you had stopped the purchase of the hotel, you are receiving calls from the OPC. I would like to know how many calls did you receive, or whatever communication you received from the OPC then. And did you at any point see these as threats or interference in your work? Thank you, Chair.
Nkhotakota Central.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, unfortunately, my first question is sitting almost on all fours with the question just asked by Lilongwe Chirobwe, but I'll just perhaps put it in a summarized way. That would you say, from your experience working in the board, that there was undue pressure put on you from the OPC? I want you to come out clearly, and if there was undue pressure, in what form? Were there offers of opportunities? Were there threats? Were there some kind of interference with your work? I would want you to make that clear. Secondly, in your analysis, between Nico Asset Managers and Continental Asset Managers, who do you think were more credible, such that their advice could be relied upon more than the other, by looking at, for example, their experience, level of expertise, and their successes in the business? Who would you conclude that were more credible? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nkhotakota Central. Lilongwe Chiwamba.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to ask the control officer. The previous board resolved on the 7th January not to invest in the hotel. Why did the new board, what do you think the new board reversed the decision within 1 month after resuming office? Secondly, on 15 March 2024,
Nkhotakota Central.
Yeah, pertaining to the question just asked by Lilongwe Chiwamba, I think it is unfair to be put to this board because the board that we're referring to is going to come and testify. I think the better way would be to ask them, why did you go against the resolution of the previous board? Because as it is now, you're forcing them to speculate what they're not private to. Thank you.
Lilongwe Chwamba, can you proceed with your second question?
Thank you, Chair. For the first one, let me withdraw. But I would like to ask another question, manually on the board meeting, 15 March 2024. The board was notified that the fund was summoned by OPC. I have two questions. If the control officer mentioned the name of the person who summoned them, secondly, if it is written, summoned or verbal, thirdly, if I can say the board influenced by the office of President and Cabinet, am I right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lilongwe Chwamba. Our senior member, Mulanje West.
Thank you, Chair, and all my seniors. I have three questions. In your experience, would you please, in your experience, you've told us whatever transpired and whereby you were advising. If I may ask, have we ever done any transaction of any investment apart from this one? If so, which one? And how long did it take for you to conclude that transaction? But also, would you, have we ever considered the possibilities of conflict of interest with NICO? Who also have hotels like Lions as well as Oasis? Okay, how did you expect that NAM to identify and encourage the fund to invest in a profitable manner, the way how you've explained? But also, in your experience, how would you take for a manager, that is, to evaluate the worthful of the position of the negotiations of Amaris? All these might also tell us the experience which you have in dealing with some of these investments which you've been taking, transactions which you've been taking in terms of investment. Thanks so much.
Controlling officer, you have a good number of questions. In the event that you've skipped one, I will actually remind you, but you also, in your submission, you earlier on indicated that you haven't been accompanied by Secretariat, but we felt as a committee to give you your slot, and the Secretariat will also appear today, soon after you. After that, we engage the new board today. Even if it takes us to 10 p.m., we're good to go. So, be at ease, all our members are available. Controlling officer, please proceed.
Chair, let me give an area a pre-apology in case I do not quote the members correctly of their constituencies. You know, I'm sure you are used, but for us it's new. So to really tie them, blanter this. If I make a mistake, please forgive me, and you can correct me accordingly.
Trust me, I'm happy that Gen Z is that side trying to respond, and this team this side. We're good to go, so that we can serve this country much better. But be assured, having elaborated and explained nicely, an intellectual of your caliber cannot fail to capture the names of constituencies, unless you can confirm that you are not paying attention to detail. So we'll try to see how we're going to assist you, but be assured of the support from your parliament.
Thank you, Chair. I think the first question from the Honorable from Branta Chilomoni on the missing minutes. Chair, I want to re-emphasize what I mentioned. At this point, I do not want to point out that they were missing or not. I mentioned that at times you could sign so many minutes, and there is a possibility maybe they were indeed skipped, because during that meeting, the legal services manager, who is secretariat to the board, was not available, and someone was sitting in her capacity. But as to the question that when did we realize this, Chair, this came to my attention on the date that...
Professor, before you proceed, Blanta Chilomoni said, do you realize the magnitude of the money in question? That in your wisdom, you can allow minutes carrying details of such an amount amidst all the documents that you are signing. You're talking of over 40 billion, a decision that you're making of 40 billion plus minutes. Then you're telling this committee that amidst all those, that actually skipped your mind.
Yeah, Chair, I even mentioned in my presentation that this, at that particular point, was a very critical decision. And as we're exiting our term, I called for all the minutes. And in my belief, I may have signed these minutes. And I really believe I signed the minutes. But I can't recollect the events to say, if secretary say you didn't sign, then I'll have to agree. However, that said, Chair, let me mention that if we did not sign these minutes, and let me acknowledge to the nation that if these minutes were not signed by me, Chair, it should be a very big governance lapse in the system. And possibly the current board and any other board that may come ought to learn from it. And that's why I indicated, Chair, the collective measure I undertook to ensure that indeed there is proof that this meeting was held. I believe that addresses the first part.
Mulanje Southeast, what's gone out of order?
Chairperson, I just want the stakeholder to establish with this committee. He has presented to this committee a signed resolution. And I just wanted to find out whether it is possible, from his experience as a board chairperson, that a board would sign a resolution without minutes. Thank you, Chairperson.
Controlling officer, drawing from your experience, can you proceed by taking that question from Mulanje Southeast? Controlling officer?
Chair, the 3 years that I chaired this board is my experience. There are very slim chances that can happen.
Yes or no?
Mulanje Southeast, thank you for that, but you know the procedure on how we are supposed to engage the controlling officer. Controlling officer, can you relax properly so that we engage? No worries. All members want proper responses. Where you feel that, no, this I can't take, you're free to do so and we'll record as such. Controlling officer, over to you.
The chair, with all due respect, chair, a yes and a no, a yes or no is a difficult thing because while the procedure is you sign the minutes once confirmed and the resolution, there could indeed be a chance, even if it's slim. That's what I was trying to say. So, for me, if you do a due diligence, you have no to. That cannot be skipped, but there is a chance. So, with that, Chair, let me say, with respect, a no or a yes would be difficult, because there is indeed a chance that at the time I was being given, or I may have skipped, but the chances are slim. I want to put it that way, Chair, with all due respect.
Can you switch on the mic? Because because of this side, I'll come to you. Because we had a confirmation from the former board members that indeed there was a resolution. So I would like to guide that we proceed. You proceed to taking all other questions. Honourable members, I would like to request that we allow the controlling officer to respond conclusively to all the questions which have been asked. Then I'll open up for members to ask more questions. Otherwise, we may disturb him, but he's giving us relevant information. So let's avoid pushing him into different directions, but we give him time to respond. Controlling officer, can you respond to the questions?
Thank you, Chair. On the date when we realized the missing, or that the minutes were not signed or were not there, because if I signed, it meant that the Secretariat could not trace them. This was on the date that PSPTF was supposed to submit its documentation on the investment to SCB. I can check with Secretariat on the actual date and provide this to the committee. But all this time, because we are not there, I think at just this point, that's when I was caught on this. Blantyre Central, if I got it right, the Oasis waiver during the 22nd meeting of the board. So, Chair, what the Oasis agreement did initially is it has a clause which limits all its shareholders to invest in a competitive business. So Oasis will be in hotel. So what that provision says is any shareholder should not venture in hotel business. Now, let me mention that while we had agreed, as per the question, that we're not proceeding with the Amaris Hotel, for us, we still thought it is important that we get a waiver. Why? Chair and members, you know that PSPTF is constructing a convention center and a hotel in Blantyre. Clock Tower to your left. So if we don't have a waiver, how will we operate? So it was still important in our interest that we given the waiver. Additionally, we may venture into other hotel business, or we may have an appetite to venture into other hotel business. Chair, I would tell you of the thinking that we had. It is public knowledge that government owes the pension fund past service liability. In our negotiation with government that time, because of the fiscal pressure that past service liability would put on the government, past service liability is the accrued money that those that started work before the commencement of the contributory fund. For example, I started 2008. So they calculated, there was a review that calculated all the money that I may have been paid on my former pension scheme into the contributory. So that's the past service liability. And government was supposed to pay that. So we negotiated that, if possible, they give us some assets, which included, in our proposal, land, some prime land along the lake that we may develop. And our target was places like Cape Macquarie, because we had the financial marshal. So if our thinking was in those lines, it meant that the moment we do not have a waiver, even if we have withdrawn from Amaris, it will still keep haunting us. And that's why we proceeded asking that we be given a waiver. If we don't, then our shareholding within the Oasis should be put to a market so that we are not tied to this investment, Chair. So that's why you would see that Oasis was still there. Lilongwe Chirobwe, how many calls did we receive from OPC? And do we consider this as an interference? Chair, the interaction with the OPC on this particular investment we're discussing is what I assume the member wants. To my knowledge, Chair, the first call was the one the PO notified me. So let me also mention that I've never received a call from SPC. When I was being invited, it was through the principal officer for the fund. When I asked for the official invitation, he indicated to me that it was through a call. So I also want to put that on record. So we cannot bring the invitation. So that was the first one that I got. Whether it was an interference or not, Chair, remember this is a fund for those who are employed by government. To some extent, the employer, in this case, is mandated to know what is happening within the fund, because they cannot just leave it. So if they call us and say, we want to know what is happening, present to us, it is normal. And we took it that they have the legitimate mandate to summon us so that we explain what we're doing. Let me move to Nkhotakota Central. Would I say, or would we say there was undue pressure? And if yes, in what form? This question, Chair, allow me, just in case I could be speaking of what I experienced, but maybe the other members may have felt or they may have been caught. But as far as I'm concerned, Chair, there was none. And to prove that, that's why even after the recommendation from the employer, my board and I maintained our decision based on a professional advice. The second question was, who are more credible between NAM and CAM based on their experience and all that? Chair, Honorable Nkota Central, you had just bailed me out on speculation. It would be unfair for me to speculate and say something that I have no evidence on. Every investment managers have their own strength and weaknesses. While NAM may be very good at specific investments, the other would be very good at the other. So let me not say something that I do not have evidence on, with due respect, Chair. Lilongwe Chiwamba. Why? No, that one was approved, was withdrawn. Can I mention the person who summoned the fund? Chair, according to the call that I got to the principal officer, Mr. George Jim, he indicated to me that the office of the SPC has summoned us. Chair, I do not know whether this answers the question, but possibly when you have an opportune time as the exact person he may mention, but I'm sure of the office. Because at times, a secretary may call saying, the office of says you appear. It may not really be the person holding the office. So what I was notified is the office of the SPC would like to meet you in person as a board chairperson.
Maybe they can ask the secretary when they come.
So possibly, when you interact with the secretariat, as you've mentioned, I'm not sure whether Mr. Jim will be there, because I'm told there's an acting PO, but he may provide the actual name. There was also on the influence, whether we're being influenced in making decisions. Chair, I've responded there, and I can mention that the people you're seeing here, though they look very quiet, if we were really to be influenced, remember we're all civil servants here. Apart from being in the fund, but at every time we're discussing the fund, we detached ourselves from the employer and looked at this as trustees of the fund. And possibly,
you've talked of that one, Mr. Jim indicated that he had received a call from the office of President and Cabinet. Yes or no?
Yes, Chair. He is the one, when we were in the board, he was our principal secretary. I mean, the principal officer of the fund.
With that information, honourable members, allow me to suspend the proceeding for 5 minutes. We'll ask you to walk out so that we discuss as honourable members. Controlling officer.
Thank you.